Wednesday afternoon here in India, almost 12 hours since India struck Pakistan. Our forces carried out what's being called Operation Sindoor. We've been bringing you details and updates all day today. In case you're just joining us, here's a quick recap of what has happened. Early this morning, India struck Pakistan. These were precision airstrikes targeting 9 sites in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Pakistan and POK, 9 sites in all, were targeted. Operation Sindoor is India's military response to the Pahalgam terror attack, the attack that took place 2 weeks ago, when Pakistani and Pak-backed terrorists killed 26 innocent civilians in Kashmir's Pahalgam, 25 Indian citizens, 1 Nepali citizen. For days, there was suspense on India's response, and now it has come. Just a short while back, India held its first press conference on the strikes. The government shared more details about the operation. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri led the briefing. He was joined by 2 senior women officers of the armed forces, Colonel Sophia Qureshi of the Indian Army and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh of the Indian Air Force. Now, this too is a powerful message. A Kashmiri, that is Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, and 2 women officers, including 1 Muslim officer, telling the world about India's response to Pakistani terrorism. The choice of speakers on India's behalf, the choice of India's representatives, is also India's statement that all Indians stand united in this action against Pakistan. This was the first official account of the operation. Like I said, 9 terror targets were hit in Pakistan and POK. The Indian Foreign Secretary confirmed that all strikes were conducted with precision. The operation lasted just about 25 minutes. The Air Force executed the strikes from Indian territory. No Indian aircraft crossed the line of control. Misri started with explaining the context, how and why the terrorists targeted innocents in Pahalgam.
The attack in Pahalgam was marked by extreme barbarity, with the victims mostly killed with headshots from close range and in front of their families. Family members were deliberately traumatized through the manner of the killing, accompanied by the exhortation that they should take back the message. The attack was clearly driven by the objective of undermining the normalcy returning to Jammu and Kashmir. In particular, it was designed to impact the mainstay of the economy, tourism, with a record 23 million tourists visiting the valley last year. The calculation, presumably, was that harming growth and development in the Union territory would help keep it backward and create fertile ground for continued cross-border terrorism.
This was followed by a detailed presentation by the armed forces. India presented surveillance footage of the targets. Officials also showed videos. They showed how targets were taken out, and one of them was Muridke. Muridke is the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Toiba. It is where terrorists like David Coleman Headley and Ajmal Kasab were trained. Both these men were involved in the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai in 2008. Muridke is better known as the base of Hafiz Saeed, the mastermind of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. He is a United Nations designated terrorist, and he is behind the Pahalgam attack too. Hafiz Saeed leads a group called the Lashkar-e-Toiba. It is the parent body of the Resistance Front, TRF. And it is this group, the Resistance Front, that carried out the Pahalgam attack. Indian officials shared more videos. One of them was from a terror camp in Sialkot. This is in Pakistan's Punjab. Again, this is a known base of the Hizbul Mujahideen. It is used to infiltrate terrorists and smuggle arms. Another strike targeted a terror camp in Kotli. This is a key facility of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now, this center can accommodate more than 100 Jaish-e-Mohammed fighters or terrorists. It is used for planning cross-border terror in Jammu and Kashmir. All through the press conference, Indian officials reiterated some key messages. First, the Indian forces exercised restraint. It is very important to note that. Second, the targets were selected with care. Third, no civilian areas or no military facilities were hit in these strikes. And fourth, the operation was focused, measured, and non-escalatory. Operation Sindoor was designed to punish Pakistan for the attack in Pahalgam. Foreign Secretary Misri confirmed that the resistance front was behind it.
The resistance front has claimed responsibility for the attack. This group is a front for the UN-proscribed Pakistani terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba. It is notable that India had given inputs about the TRF in the half-yearly report to the monitoring team of the UN's 1267 Sanctions Committee in May and November 2024, bringing out its role as a cover for Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Earlier too, in December 2023, India had informed the monitoring team about Lashkar and Jaish-e-Mohammed operating through small terror groups such as the TRF. Pakistan's pressure to remove references to TRF in the April 25 UN Security Council press statement is notable in this regard.
TRF is linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba. That's what the Indian Foreign Secretary has said. And there is direct evidence of Pakistani involvement. In fact, Pakistan has tried to protect the TRF. It tried to remove references to this group at the United Nations in the UN statement. India says these links are now established. The Indian investigation is progressing rapidly. Vikram Misri shared more details about that too.
Investigations into the Pahalgam terror attack have brought out the communication notes of terrorists in and to Pakistan. The claims made by the resistance front and their reposting by known social media handles of the Lashkar-e-Taiba speak for themselves. Identification of the attackers based on eyewitness accounts as well as other information available to law enforcement agencies has also progressed. Our intelligence has developed an accurate picture of the planners and backers of this team.
Misri said Pakistan has repeatedly misrepresented facts and obstructed global efforts to curb terror funding. India, he said, is not misled, nor is India silent. Operation Sindoor was India's response, a targeted mission informed by intelligence and backed by evidence. So the operation may be over, Operation Sindoor, but the border continues to be hot. Pakistan has intensified firing across the line of control. Until now, they were only using small arms, but today they shifted to heavy artillery. Reports say Pakistani soldiers are firing indiscriminately. They are targeting Indian Army posts and civilians. At least 10 deaths have been reported, plus around 20 injuries. And how is India responding? The Indian Army says it is hitting back proportionally. The local administration is also on the job in Jammu and Kashmir. They are moving residents away from the line of control. These villagers will be housed in safer locations. In Jammu's border areas, schools and colleges have been shut. Similar moves have been announced in Punjab as well. No schools in Firozpur, Pathankot and Amritsar will be opened. Multiple North Indian airports have also been closed today. Dharamshala, Leh, Jammu, Srinagar, Amritsar, they're all closed until further notice. Others like Bhuj and Rajkot are shut or were shut until 12 p.m. today. We've not heard about the latest, whether the airports have been reopened in Bhuj and Rajkot in Gujarat. Several airlines have also issued advisories on travel. Indigo, for instance, said that it has cancelled some 160 flights. In Delhi, around 35 flights have reportedly been cancelled. So if you're traveling today, check your flight status. Most southern and eastern airports are running fine, but if you're flying north, brace for disruptions. Same for international flights. Pakistan has not shut its airspace yet, but carriers are not taking a chance. Some 52 flights to and from Pakistan have been cancelled today. More than 2 dozen flights have been rerouted. Basically, they're not flying over Pakistani airspace. They're taking a different route. It's quite obvious if you look at the flight map. Maybe a handful of flights are flying over Pakistan. The rest of the airspace is empty. Back in India, mock drills are underway across 244 districts throughout the country. These are the first such drills since 1971. Civilians and local officials are practicing a number of exercises like evacuation, first aid and air raid sirens. These districts, 244 districts, are seen as at-risk sites. Some of them are close to the border and the coast. Others house strategic assets like refineries. The drills are underway as we speak. Take a look at this. Several meetings are also being held today. First, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Then he chaired a cabinet meeting on security. And as we speak, a full cabinet meeting is underway. We are expecting a resolution at the end of it, one that backs the Indian military. Away from New Delhi, states and union territories are also preparing. In Jammu and Kashmir, the Chief Minister convened his cabinet. He also met with local officials from several districts. Down south in Telangana, the Chief Minister has called an emergency meeting. He is expected to review the state's security. Basically, the whole country is on alert. The idea is to be prepared for any eventuality. What about the economy? How are the markets responding to India's action? In India, the markets are responding surprisingly well. The Sensex is trading around 50 points down and the Nifty is just 10 points down. Clearly, investors do not expect these tensions to continue. They expect a de-escalation next. As of now, the focus is on the line of control because that's where Pakistan is focusing its fire. When India struck, it made sure that only terrorists were killed. But Pakistan is firing indiscriminately. They're not just hitting Indian military targets, they're hitting ordinary civilians, something that the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir has pointed out.
I think Government of India, the Indian Defence Forces have gone out of their way to ensure that no military and civilian targets were hit in Pakistan. They have only hit terror bases and launch pads. Unfortunately, the response has been anything but proportionate. Pakistan, as reports are coming in, has gone out of its way to target civilian populations.
The next 24 hours will be crucial. A lot depends on how Pakistan reacts next. It is afternoon in Pakistan too. A few hours ago, the country woke up to the impact of the strikes. India struck a total of 9 sites in Pakistan. Some were in Pakistan, others were in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, as we've been telling you. Pakistan says 8 people were killed. Their Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, has called it, and I'm quoting, an act of war. He has convened a National Security Council meeting. It is currently underway. The Pakistani military has also vowed to retaliate.
इस बुज़दिलाना, बिला इश्तियाल, बिला जवाज़ हमले का भरपूर जवाब अफ़वाज पाकिस्तान पाकिस्तानी कौम की हमायत से दे रही हैं और देती रहेंगी.
But Pakistan's defense minister is singing a different tune. It is this man, Khwaja Asif. First, he said that Indian soldiers had been taken prisoners of war. Then he backtracked from that statement. Now, Khwaja Asif says that Pakistan is ready to refrain from any further military action. His only condition? That India halts its military operation. Now, we'll have to take his word with more than a pinch of salt because Khwaja Asif is not the most reliable person in Pakistan. But the statement also shows you the mood. Pakistan may do all the saber rattling in the world, but does it really have an appetite for war? Can it afford a war? We know it cannot. Eventually, of course, the generals will decide. Meanwhile, on the ground, residents remain in a state of panic, many of them jolted awake by the strikes.
एक मुआवजा हुआ है कि पहले गूंज आई है बड़ी अजीब सी, वहाँ में एकदम सहम गई है घरों में कि जैसे जंजला आया है. फिर उसके बाद मिसाइल आए हैं, फिर सीधे इधर ही आए हैं. पहले 1 मिनट बाद आया है, फिर उसके बाद 3-4 मिनट के अंदर इकट्ठे 3-4 आए हैं. वैसे ही हमारी आबादी में कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ, नुकसान हुआ तो इधर ही हुआ और 2 बंदे ज़ख्मी हो गए हैं, 1 शहीद हो गया।
मैंने रात को देखा, मैं लेटी हुई थी अपने घर में, तो आसमान की तरफ देखा कि मिसाइल जा रहे हैं। एकदम से एक गूंज आई बहुत ज़्यादा तेज़ सी, एकदम से फिर दूसरा आया, वो मिसाइल इधर मरकज़ में गिरा हमारे आके।
The strikes hit several parts of Pakistan's Punjab province. For now, Punjab Chief Minister Maryam Nawaz has issued emergency response orders. Schools and colleges are closed, hospitals are on high alert, rescue teams are on standby. In Islamabad too, schools and colleges are shut. It shows you the level of panic that Islamabad is trying to create. India has said again and again that it is only striking terror hubs, that it only struck terror hubs. India does not plan to target civilians or even military installations in Pakistan, yet Pakistan is trying to milk the situation. Earlier today, Pakistan's airspace cleared out after the strikes. Authorities reportedly closed the airspace covering the major cities of Lahore and Karachi. All flights have been cancelled from Lahore. The Lahore airport is temporarily closed. Major airlines have diverted their flights. They want to avoid flying over the country altogether. Meanwhile, Pakistan's stock market is bleeding. Their main stock market index is the Karachi 100, and it has plunged. It was down almost 6% after opening. So Pakistan is not just feeling the blow of the strikes, it is feeling the aftershocks too, across its skies and its economy. The explosions may be over, but the fallout is far from over. The question now, how will Islamabad respond? Will it be with fire, or will the response be with caution? Their next move could change everything. Now we want to focus on India's strike in Bahawalpur. Among the 9 sites that were struck, Bahawalpur was one. This is a city in Pakistan's Punjab province, about 400 kilometers away from Lahore. Bahawalpur was struck multiple times. The target? The headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed or JEM. Now, Jaish-e-Mohammed is a United Nations designated terrorist organization, the same group that orchestrated the 2019 Pulwama attack. That's when a suicide bomber killed 40 Indian troops. That was in 2019. So why was Bahawalpur struck this time? Because India wanted to send a message that terrorists inside Pakistan were no longer safe. Bahawalpur is the beating heart of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terror group founded and led by this man, Masood Azhar, a globally recognized terrorist, one of the masterminds of the terror attack on the Indian parliament, the attack that happened in 2001. The Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur was no secret. This morning, Indian jets took out the terror infrastructure. At least 2 sites were bombed. First was the Kausar colony. This is in the northwestern part of the city. The second was Rahman. This is on the western outskirts of Bahawalpur. The main target was the one in Rahman, the Markaz Jamia Masjid Subhanallah complex, the founding headquarters of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. This complex, this is where terrorists are recruited, indoctrinated and trained. Masood Azhar, the JEM chief, is believed to be living at the same site under state protection. And he has made several anti-India speeches from this masjid. He is protected by the Pakistani army. Now let's also show you exactly where the Masjid Subhanallah is located. It is a few kilometers away from a Pakistan army cantonment. So let's talk about the nature of the strike. Indian intelligence agencies first did their homework. Satellite imagery was collated, ground-level intelligence was collected, then the coordinates were shared with the Indian Air Force. The objective was quite clear: destroy Jaish-e-Mohammed terror facilities and limit any collateral damage. This morning, New Delhi responded not out of aggression but out of necessity. Indian Air Force jets fired advanced missiles they struck with pinpoint accuracy. The Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters were destroyed. Indian armed forces say the terrorists were targeted successfully.
मरकज़ सुभान अल्लाह भावलपुर ये इंटरनेशनल बाउंड्री से 100 किलोमीटर दूर है। जैश ए मोहम्मद का मुख्यालय था। यहाँ पर रिक्रूटमेंट, ट्रेनिंग व इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन का केंद्र भी था। शीर्ष आतंकी अक्सर यहां आते थे। मैं आप सबको बताना चाहती हूं कि किसी भी सैन्य ठिकाने का निशाना नहीं बनाया गया और अभी तक किसी तरह की नागरिक क्षति की रिपोर्ट नहीं है।
Predictably, Islamabad has condemned the strike. They have called it an act of war. They claim that only civilians were injured in the Bahawalpur strike. Pakistan said that no militant camps were targeted. Let me repeat that. Pakistan said no militant camps were targeted in Bahawalpur. What does that imply? That they're accepting that they have militant camps, that they have terror camps on their soil, but they were not targeted. Although the world already knows this, let me tell you why a strike in Bahawalpur is historic. This city is not some remote terror outpost. It is the 12th largest city in Pakistan. It is in the heart of Pakistan's Punjab province. It is home to the Jaish-e-Mohammed and protected by the Pakistani army. The terror infrastructure had grown in recent years. Satellite images from 2022 to now show the expansion of their facilities. Solar energy plants had been installed. New buildings were constructed. At least 7 multi-storied structures came up here. The compound also had swimming pools and livestock pens. Basically a terror camp that was self-sustained. While Pakistanis struggle for food and water, terrorists get state-of-the-art infrastructure complete with a swimming pool. Now it has been reduced to rubble. Now, this is a doctrinal shift in India's fight against terror. Because look at 2016. Terrorists attacked an army camp in Jammu and Kashmir's Uri. And how did India respond? The Indian army carried out surgical strikes in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This was in 2016. Then in 2019, Pakistan-sponsored terror struck again. This happened in Pulwama. And we've already told you about it, 2019. How did India respond then? By conducting airstrikes in Sialkot. Terror launch pads in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa were destroyed. But this time, India has gone after terrorism's jugular vein. The Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Pakistan's Punjab. By striking here, India has sent a warning to Pakistan that your terror havens are no longer safe. This is what India meant when it said terrorists and their backers would be punished. The Indian response was not just about vengeance, it was also about exposing Pakistan's double game. They may keep crying foul, but they still won't shut their terror camps. The fact is, India does not want war, but India will not tolerate terror either. And that is the biggest takeaway from the strike at Bahawalpur, that India will respond not with words but with action, surgical, measured and justified. So tensions are escalating, the world is worried and rightly so. But how are major powers reacting to what has happened? On predictable lines, some countries are positioning themselves as mediators, most others are advising caution and restraint. Let me tell you about the first bit. Shortly after India struck Pakistan, New Delhi reached out to its strategic partners to brief them about the operation, and among them, of course, was the United States. So as reactions came in from across the world, US President Donald Trump was among the first. He was asked about Operation Sindoor at a press conference last night, and he called it a shame. Listen to this.
It's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
Fighting for centuries, history is clearly not his strong suit. Shortly after the statement, Marco Rubio reacted. Rubio is the US Secretary of State, basically their foreign minister. He took to social media platform X and he said that he hopes this escalation, and I'm quoting, that he hopes it ends quickly. He added that the US will continue to engage both Indian and Pakistani leadership towards a peaceful resolution. So the message from America is clear: reduce tensions. And they appear almost too keen to mediate. Apart from the US, India briefed some other key partners after the strike. The list includes Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Russia and the UK. Now, the United Arab Emirates has issued a statement. It has urged both India and Pakistan to exercise restraint, to de-escalate tensions and to avoid further escalation that could threaten regional and international peace. Japan has taken a similar tone. It has condemned the terrorist attack in Kashmir, but their chief cabinet secretary is also concerned. He has urged both parties, and I'm quoting again, to stabilize the situation through dialogue. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has expressed, quote-unquote, deep concern. He says he is concerned about the Indian military operations in Pakistan. He says that the world cannot afford a military confrontation between India and Pakistan. Well, that may be true, but these statements are also problematic. Being concerned about the Indian operation, asking both sides to exercise restraint, to approach peace through dialogue, amounts to putting the onus equally on both India and Pakistan to maintain peace. And that is a flawed approach, because one is an aggressor and promoter of terrorism, while the other is reacting to a provocation and dismantling terror camps. If anything, India is promoting the cause of peace by eliminating terrorists. So the onus of de-escalation should be on Pakistan. We know exactly what triggered these tensions: Pakistani terrorism. So expressing concern about India's response is honestly counterproductive. Let's also tell you about the reaction from China, Pakistan's so-called iron brother and ATM. China has condemned India's strikes and called on both India and Pakistan to prioritize peace and stability and remain calm. It doesn't get more patronizing and hypocritical than this. Thankfully, India has strong supporters and partners, and those who do not shy away from calling out Pakistani terrorism. Like Israel. Israel has shown clear support to New Delhi. It has called Operation Sindoor an act of self-defense by India. Israel's ambassador to India has posted on X. He says, and I'm quoting, "Terrorists should know there is no place to hide from their heinous crimes." And that is the crux of the matter, isn't it? You fuel terror, you hit India, you kill dozens of innocents, India reacts, and suddenly the world jumps to the conclusion that peace is disturbed. Well, yes, it is. But if India witnessed bloodshed on its soil, you should know that there will be a response. You should be deeply concerned and grateful to India for fighting a terror state that threatens the whole world. Such an attack does not happen overnight. It has to be planned meticulously. All bases must be covered, all services must be united, all eventualities must be considered. So let's take a deep dive into India's Operation Sindoor. How was it planned? How was it carried out? And what weapons were used? The ball was set rolling by Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. He met the 3 defense chiefs last week. In that meeting, he gave a clear message. The armed forces have complete freedom. They can decide when, how, and where to attack. After that, the defense chiefs got to work. In subsequent meetings, they offered options to Prime Minister Modi. And the goal was quite clear. India had to re-establish deterrence. Officials felt the effect of the 2019 Sialkot strikes had worn off, hence the daring attack on Pahalgam this month. So another strike had to be carried out. Now we come to the operation. This was a very expansive military campaign. A total of 9 sites were hit, some in Pakistan, some in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. These locations were selected by India's intelligence agencies. All of them chosen for a reason. The most important, as we told you, was Bahawalpur, a city in Pakistan's Punjab, right across Rajasthan's Thar Desert. This city is a stronghold of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the terror group led by Masood Azhar. Azhar was born in Bahawalpur in 1968. He runs training and radicalization camps in the city. Some of the other targets were in POK, again all home to terror camps. The operation was reportedly led by the National Security Advisor of India. That's Mr. Ajit Doval. He set up a special team to oversee the operation. Only a small group was aware of the attack and the plans. And once it was completed, once the strike was completed, the Prime Minister was briefed about it. Which brings us to the attack itself. Reports say India did not enter Pakistani airspace, meaning the projectiles were fired from Indian soil. They were fired from India. Now, this is a key difference from 2019. During Sialkot, Indian jets crossed into Pakistan. They dropped bombs on Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. But this time it was different. As for the weapons, we don't have confirmation yet. But some reports say that loitering munitions were used. These are basically suicide drones. They carry warheads and hover over the target area. And once locked on, this drone crashes onto the site. That's how India reportedly mounted this attack. It's a very significant operation. India's deadliest strike on Pakistan since the 1971 war. And yet it wasn't excessive. India made it clear that only terrorists were targeted. Not Pakistani civilians, not even Pakistani soldiers, only Pakistani terrorists. Plus, the strikes used precision weapons. The idea was to hit the targets using pinpoint accuracy. So New Delhi's message is pretty clear. We will hit back, but we will do so responsibly. As we've been saying, the ball is now in Pakistan's court. Let's see if they recklessly climb the ladder of escalation or if they choose restraint. These are dangerous times, not just at the border, but also on the internet. There's a flood of fake news online. That's where the fighting has shifted. Pakistani accounts are pushing old and doctored videos. Their agenda is to demoralize the Indian military, to spread panic in India. And we'll try to bust some of those fake videos for you. Here's one such post by a senior Pakistani journalist. It shows a mangled fighter jet on the ground. And the claim that it was shot down by Pakistan this morning. The fact is, this picture is from 2021. It shows a MiG plane that crashed in India's Punjab. No dogfight, no Pakistani hand. Here's another fake post, this time by China's CGTN. We are talking about Beijing's state-run media outlet, CGTN. They posted pictures of a fireball. And the claim? The same, that Pakistan shot down Indian jets. Just one problem, though. This picture is at least 3 weeks old, It was being peddled by Pakistani accounts towards the end of April. Back then, it was supposed to be the line of control. Now it's become a crashed Indian jet. We say, make up your mind, Pakistan. A third example is also that of a supposed jet crash. It shows a plane bursting into flames. Again, this is an old video. It dates back to a MiG crash in September 2024. Some of these videos are being used to make other claims too. Claims like 15 locations inside India were hit, that the Srinagar air base was targeted, that an Indian army office was destroyed. All of it is fake, we can tell you. This is part of Pakistan's psychological warfare. Their ministers are also part of it. So in the coming days, we need to double check what we see online. Use only trusted sources. Do not rely on random X accounts. And most importantly, do not amplify what you see. People have pointed out a new trend on social media. Pakistani users are pretending to be Indians on X and Instagram. Their accounts may display the Indian flag. Their names may resemble those of Indian veterans. But these are propaganda accounts, Pakistani propaganda accounts. Do not trust them blindly. Same for news agencies with an agenda. We just showed you an example. China CGTN. Their coverage will be colored by their politics. It's important to bear that in mind. So vigilance is the name of the game. This is a developing story. We are tracking all reactions. We are tracking all advisories. We can tell you that the US and Sweden have issued advisories on travel to Pakistan. There's a lot that's coming here. Stick to trusted sources of information and stay with Firstpost for all the latest updates on India's action against Pakistan.
Also tie in with Pakistan's long track record. The features of this attack also tie in with Pakistan's long track record.
चल